Hey guys, how is everybody doing? This is the second ranking that you're going to be getting. Hopefully, my other ranking will be out tomorrow. I'm going to be filming it as you're watching this. I'm probably editing it, so hopefully that'll be out early tomorrow, or if not late tomorrow. So please look out for that ranking. But this is the second ranking I'm going to be doing, and the ranking I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be ranking all five Halloween timelines. So we had the conclusion to one of the timelines last year in 2022. So now we have five timelines, which the first Halloween timeline consists of Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and the dreaded Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. I'm not going to be separating the producer's cut or the theatrical cut. It's basically the same movie. It's just one is stupider and one is just dumber. And so, yeah, that is the first timeline. A lot of people like to call that the sequel timeline. I like to call it the Cult of Thorns timeline because that's when it really starts to dive into the Michael Myers origins. But you could call it the sequel timeline. I just like to think of it as the Cult of Thorns timeline. And then you got the second timeline, which consists of Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O 20 years later, and the very strange Halloween Resurrection. And so that is the second timeline. And the third timeline consists of Halloween and the very controversial Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which gonna be a anthology series, which John Carpenter originally wanted to do, but then fans of Halloween basically did this to him, and so that we got that one. We got the fourth timeline, which just consists of Rob Zombie's two Halloween remakes, which consists of Halloween and Halloween 2 remakes, which there's only two, so that's going to be an interesting one. And then you have the final timeline, the fifth timeline, which consists of the original Halloween, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, which we just got last year, which concluded this timeline. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be ranking these timelines from worst to best in my own personal opinion. So once again, this is just my opinion. This is not a definitive list. This is not the right list. This is just my personal opinion. This is how much I like these timelines. This is how much I would rank each timeline over the other. My bottom one is just my least favorite, and my top one is my favorite timeline of the Halloween trilogy or the Halloween franchise. So, with that all out of the way, here's my own personal ranking of all five Halloween timelines. Coming in at number 5, the worst Halloween timeline, and it only has two films, but I do really like one of them. And that is Rob Zombie's Halloween remakes. Now, to be fair, there's only two of these movies, and they're not very well regarded amongst Halloween fans. And I'm in that 1% of the earth that actually likes Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I really like what he did with that film. The first film, I could basically take or leave. I don't really care for the first act of the film. It explains too much of Michael Myers' origins, and I believe when I reviewed the film, I actually said I liked it, but I don't know what was wrong with 2022 me. And I don't like that first half of the film. I could basically take or leave that part of the film. It's useless and ruins Michael Myers' mystique and ruins the character. Second half is a little interesting. It has some ideas going for it, and I can enjoy it. Where it shows Michael Myers in the hospital in the sanitarium, like what was going on with him, why he decided just to stop talking and all that. That's interesting and showed us what we didn't get to see in the original film, but at the same time kind of ruins the mystique of the character. And the third half of the movie, it's fine. It's just a rush remake of John Carpenter's original, where the first half of the movie is Rob Zombie making his film, and then he makes it a redone version of John Carpenter's original. Rob Zombie's Halloween remake, it's fine. It's not horrible in my opinion. I don't think it's one of the worst remakes out there, but it's still not a very good remake. And I understand what Rob Zombie tried to do, but it just didn't work out. But Halloween 2, I seem to really like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Now, let me get this out of the way. Years ago, back when Halloween 2018 came out, I would have been right there with you saying that it was a garbage movie and one of the worst movies ever made. I would have been right there with you. But after upon us rewatches and rewatching the movie and seeing the film that I'm supposed to be seeing, I kind of dig it. Like, I honestly think it's a really fun film. I really enjoy it. I really like the things that it goes for it. I understand the hates for it. I hate the Samuel Loomis in there. They completely shit on the character. I hate Laurie Strode in this movie. She's just too bitchy. I don't like it. And the White Horse thing, it can go screw itself. I don't acknowledge the director's cut of Michael saying a word saying die. I don't acknowledge that cut. But when you take all of that away and just watch the film, watch the other part of the film, it's honestly a pretty good movie. I love when Michael only puts on the mask when he's killing. I really like that. I don't mind the Hobo Myers look. It honestly makes sense to me because what do you think how Michael Myers is doing before Halloween? Like he can only be in so many comas. I don't imagine that he would have his own apartment. He wouldn't have a job. He wouldn't have his own house. No, in real life he'd be homeless, living off the land and all that. To me, that is perfect in my mind. To me, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 has great things going on. It's a great film, in my opinion. It's one of my favorite Halloween films in the franchise, and I would consider one of the best remakes out there. And in number 4 is the Cult of Thorns timeline, or the sequel timeline, the original timeline, I guess you could say. I love the original Halloween. That is a fantastic horror film. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. That is a movie I have to watch every single Halloween, no matter what. Halloween 2, one of the best sequels of the franchise, one of the best entries of the franchise, a fantastic sequel. Absolutely love it. Halloween 4, one of my favorite entries of the franchise. It's such a great Halloween film. That's like the perfect Michael Myers trying to kill his family movie. That's every time I think of Michael Myers going after his family and trying to kill his bloodline, that's the first film that comes to my mind, and that's the best film that did it, in my opinion. But then after that, it goes downhill. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Holy shit. We don't acknowledge that film. And, one thing, one thing I gotta say about this fucking movie, Tina. So, you kill off Rachel, who is a beloved character in Halloween 4. One of my favorite characters of the entire franchise. She was probably, besides Danielle Harris, my favorite character in Halloween 4. And you know what they do? They bring her back, and then they instantly kill her. And then you got my least favorite Halloween film, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, where it tries to explore the Cult of Thorns. It tries to do this shit and do this shit. It's like, why are you trying to explain Michael Myers' origins? This is not a character that needed his origins explained. This is not a character that should be explained. I love what they did in the new Halloween trilogy. When we get to that, how they just make a pure evil again, but we'll get to that when I talk about it. But then, yeah, Halloween 6, it just makes no sense in my mind. And Halloween, a lot of people give Halloween 4 a lot of slack because they say that was the beginning of the Cult of Thorns trilogy or a friend like the whole timeline. But if anything, Halloween 5 is the beginning of the Cult of Thorns story because they introduced none of the Cult of Thorns in Halloween 4, the Revenge of Michael Myers. They just not the revenge, the return of Michael Myers, but in Revenge of Myers, they introduced all that stuff. They put it in the script just to finish the movie and make it an hour and a half long, so it wouldn't be an hour and 20 minutes. And so they introduce all this shit, and they just basically let other writers and directors and other creative teams figure that out in the next sequel. And it took them like, I don't know, 6, 7 years to give us the disappointing answers that we never really wanted because we don't want to care. We don't care about Michael Myers' origins. If you care, that's great. I'm glad if you like the Cult of Thorns, but I don't. It ruins Michael Myers' character. I don't care what they did for him. I also just don't really care for the logo. Like, is that supposed to be a thorn? Because it just looks like a random ass logo with just a line and a triangle. And in number 3 is just another timeline that only has 2 movies, and that is the anthology timeline consisting of the original 1978 horror classic Halloween, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, like I just said, and then you got the very controversial Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Now, the Halloween, what is there not to love about the film? I love the film, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But Halloween 3, it seems to be a very divisive film. A lot of Halloween fans really like it, they really like what they did, and John Carpenter's original idea for the Halloween franchise, he made the first Halloween, they made a sequel just to follow that up and conclude that, and then the original idea and the other plans was to release a new Halloween film every year, kind of like the Twilight Zone, and tell a new creepy story on Halloween, but fans loved loved Michael Myers in the first two Halloween movies. Then they released this movie and got so much shit, and so they just abandoned that idea and brought back Michael Myers for the return of Michael Myers, and fans were happy again. Now, look, I want to make this clear. I think Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is fine. I think it's a fine Halloween film. Not because Michael Myers is in it. If you're going to be that dick on the internet saying, like, oh, you don't like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch because Michael Myers isn't in it. No, I don't like the film because Michael Myers is not in it. I just don't care for the film just for the film itself. I honestly think if they just made this film, just titling it Season of the Witch, instead of putting bold ass letters Halloween 3 right above it, they just titled it Season of the Witch. I honestly think it would have a bigger impact in horror, and a lot of films, a lot of horror fans would like it. I do enjoy it. It has its moments. I do like the mask. I do like the whole horror villain, but the characters, they don't stand out to me, and all the other stuff going on in it is just boring to me. I understand if you love this film, but it's just not for me. But I will say this, a lot of Halloween fans have come out and said that they've really liked Halloween 3. They really like it. They're really digging that and since it's been out for like 40 years, so they want to see more of this film. They want to see where this could have gone in the future with the anthology. And I am one of those people. Instead of coming out saying, oh, we're going to reboot the Halloween franchise again and bring in new directors, the different Michael Myers and all that, make it a direct sequel to this Halloween film, I honestly would not like that, and I would honestly like to see just bring back the anthology. I would honestly like to see them go this direction again, and apparently A24 apparently might have won the rights to the Halloween franchise, and Miramax did say that they won the TV rights to Halloween. What I would like to see, and if A24 gets the rights, make the anthology Halloween TV series. That would be right up their alley besides Michael Myers. I honestly think that would be a better idea. But who knows? Maybe we'll never see that, and studios know they'll just make more money if they bring in Michael Myers. But I would honestly like to see them just focus on the anthology on the next Halloween film. Coming in at number 2 is the Halloween H2O trilogy, consisting of Halloween, the original 1978 classic, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O, and Halloween Resurrection. Halloween, again, fantastic film. I'm going to keep saying it. Halloween 2, one of my favorite sequels. And Halloween H2O, I've actually come around to like. Now, years ago, I would have said it's fine. It's not a very good Halloween film, but I still enjoy it because to me, I still have an issue with the film with just being too Scream. But I still enjoy the film now. Like, I could put it on and be like, know what? It's a pretty badass film. Except for the masks. They don't look very good. And then you got the dreaded Halloween Resurrection. Now, the only reason that this one is not number one is just because of Halloween Resurrection. If Halloween Resurrection wasn't as bad as it is, this timeline would probably be my number one because I really like this timeline. If it just weren't for that shitbag Halloween Resurrection. But yeah, I will admit this. Resurrection, I still think it's kind of a guilty pleasure film. It's bad, but I could consider it one of those films where it's so bad that it's good because I could still watch it and be entertained by it for how bad it is. But I really love this timeline. I really love that H2O film, especially since that's more of Laurie's film and how we get to see her 20 years after the events of the original Halloween and Halloween 2. I really dig this timeline. It's just Resurrection's fault. Ugh. Coming in at number 1 is the Halloween 40 Years Later trilogy, otherwise known as the David Gordon Green trilogy, otherwise known as the Blumhouse trilogy, which consists of the original 1978 classic, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and the very controversial Halloween Ends. Halloween 20, I can't speak. Halloween, the original, absolute classic for a reason. It's one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion. And Halloween 2018 is my favorite Halloween sequel. It is my personal favorite Halloween sequel. I love that film. When I remember it was like yesterday. I heard that this movie was coming out when I was younger. I finally found out it came out on Blu-ray. Bought it when it came out on Blu-ray, and I watched it the second I got home and absolutely loved it. It became one of my favorite horror movies ever, and I watched it every year until I found out Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends were coming out, and then COVID decided to come along. do this to make me wait one more year for Halloween Kills. And to me, Halloween Kills, I love that film. I honestly really like it. I understand if you don't like it. I understand the issues that that film has. But I really dig Halloween Kills. It's an awesome sequel. I really enjoy it. And, and, put me on a cross. Get your pitchforks and torches ready. I honestly think Halloween Ends is one of the best in the franchise. If you're watching it just for Laurie and Michael, you won't get that film. But if you're watching it for something refreshing and something new and something interesting for the franchise, Halloween Ends is definitely for you. And me knowing that's what I was walking into this time after this eponymous rewatch, I really dig Halloween Ends. I really dig this timeline. It's one of the best of the franchise. It's the best of the franchise in my opinion. Has some of the best movies of the franchise, and to me, it is my number one Halloween timeline. Thank you all so much for watching my ranking of all 5 Halloween timelines. Let me know your ranking in the comments below, and if you like this video, like it. If you loved it, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, I'll see you all next time.